Hi, everybody. So, a couple of new things have come to light that are pretty much going to put this whole case to rest here. So, let me just recap everything that's been going on. Tomorrow is my court date, and I started filing a grievance form on to the state bar on Cristina Alva and Uriel S. Druker. And as I'm going through the form and filling out all the information and all the details, I get hacked again and everything gets erased. So, obviously, nobody wants me to file this information. So, I'm going to go to Austin and hand deliver it. So, let's recap. Okay, so on January 24th, no, sorry, February 24th is when I got this suit. Prior to this, I had called CPS. I had found naked pictures of Mila Charles, which was Ilana Druker's other daughter with Ronald Charles. And I had found so many text messages and so many calls from her to other guys throughout her whole relationship that I called her out on. And she had been lying to me about this one guy, Ben Jacobs, in San Antonio. He's a married man. She had gone to go see him in Austin. She had gone to a hotel here in Houston, all this other stuff. And she completely lied about that. And she told me the name of this other guy. First, she said his name was Ben Jacobs, and she sent me a picture. And I was like, or sorry, she said his name was Jacob Cohen. Sounds a lot like Ben Jacobs, right? Jacob Cohen. So I start looking and digging and everything, and I can't find anything on a Jacob Cohen. She said it was a younger guy from somewhere else, and he left already, and all this other stuff. So I keep pressuring her to send me a picture. She sends me a picture, doesn't have the name on the bottom, nothing, a Facebook picture of this guy. So months or a year later, and I was already forgiven her, and I, wanted the family to stay together, and I started feeling like it was my fault, and I, like if I pushed her away or I pushed her into this, so we kind of were like working things out. So this whole time that we're working things out, she's calling all these guys and doing all this stuff, and the guy's not Jacob Cohen at all. That's not his name. Finally, I'm going online and his picture comes up and he's an actor somewhere. And so I take her the picture and I said, "Why are you lying? Like, this is not even him. And you said it was this guy." And she said, "Well, I wasn't going to tell you the truth." I was like, "What? Why?" So I still don't know who this guy is, but I got an idea. It was Antonio Gonzalez or something like that she told me. Another guy that she had slept with was a manager of one of her Krogers. And then there was another manager at her new Krogers. And I saw the text messages and everything. And he's calling her honey and sweetie. And they have plans to go meet up. And so I'm uncovering all this information, right? And I start looking at all the other text messages that she has. And just so that you know, I didn't break into her iPad. This was the iPad that my daughter had, that was hers, that I was trying to make room for Minecraft, which is a large game. And I downloaded everything, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna remove some of these games. I had downloaded it to iTunes, and I'm gonna remove some of these games. I'm gonna remove some of these files to make some room. And this is where I found all this stuff, right? So it's all in her text messages. It is. It's all in her call logs and everything. And part of that was now I know the reason why the attorneys, or why the attorney Uriel is doing all this stuff, because there's a lot of texts and conversations about criminal cases that should have been, hush hush, you shouldn't be talking about it. And she's talking about it with Ilana Druker. And also the fact that he had cheated on his wife. And that there was a bribe to one of his former employees of about $5,000. All this stuff, right? So that's why they were trying so hard. And they got Ronald Charles, okay, because he knew this guy Fernando Fuentes, which is the major hacker guy that I'm telling you, to start hacking my phone, to start getting all the files, to get everything back, and so that they won't get caught. So I called Susie the other day and I told her, because she's a very nice woman and she deserves to know the truth. And so now I'm really pressing hard on them because they're trying to take my kid away, man, and they're making up all these lies. So they give me this suit, right? I get Ilana's gonna sue you for custody. Boom. So I start calling them and telling them, look, let's work this out. Let's come up with a custody agreement. We don't have to go to the court and do this whole thing. Like, I didn't have any money for an attorney or anything like that. So Uri says, yeah, okay, go ahead. Talk to her. Like, we had it out. We talked. And I said, look, man, I just want, if Ilana doesn't want to be with me, let's just work this out. So he said, go ahead and talk to her, and whatever you guys come up with, let me know, and then I'll draw it up and give it to the judge. So I'm calling her. This is like about a week and a half before we have to go see the judge on March 10th of this year. So I'm calling her, and she's like, oh, I'm too tired. I got out of work. Or I can't tonight. So 5 days go by, same thing. Then on the 5th day or the 6th day, she says, oh, I gave it to my brother to handle it. He's going to handle it. So I'm like, okay. So I call him and he's like, oh, I don't have anything ready, man. Probably won't be till this weekend. I'm like, okay. So I'm not trying to pressure anybody. I'm like, all right, we're going to take care of it this weekend. So I call him, ignores my calls, everything. Call him the next day. They finally give me their custody agreement. I had no input on it whatsoever the night before we go to court. And I'm reading it, and it's just ridiculous, man. Like, all this stuff is in there. I don't get anything, And I'm like, no, man. I was like, so we go to court the next day, which was through Zoom, right? So we show up, I'm present, we're here. And then he says, let's go to a break room. This was all planned. So we go to a breaker room, and we're not talking about anything about custody agreements or anything. They're just basically telling me off and saying that I'm crazy and all this stuff, and why did I break her TV and all this stuff. I had already bought her another TV. I had given her another TV for her living room, but I was pissed, man. I mean, how would you like to know if somebody was cheating on you for years and years and years? I mean, with all kinds of different guys, married men too. And talking to her ex-husband and laughing about it that I didn't know. So, while this is all going on, we're in the breaker room talking. I said, look, man, we're not getting anywhere. I said, let's just go in front of the judge. So we said, okay. So everybody's pissed off, whatever. We're waiting to go talk to the judge. They put us in this other room, and we're supposed to be waiting for the judge. There's a lady in there. And I'm like, are you the judge? And she's like, no. And I said, okay. So Ilana leaves like immediately. Doesn't say a word. She's out of the Zoom call. And then not even like 2 minutes later, boom, Uri leaves. And he's out of the Zoom call. And I'm like, where the hell did it go? Am I in the right room? The lady I'm talking to doesn't say anything. And I'm like, do you know what room the judge is in? And she just shakes her head. And I'm like, okay. So I'm going through Zoom trying to look for it. I can't find anybody. And I'm calling them and texting them. And I know they got my calls because later Ilana told me, yeah, well, I'm not going to answer. That's your fault. That's your fault. And Uri said the same thing. Hey, that's your fault. You didn't know where to go. That's your fault. He's supposed to be an officer of the court, Ethically, he's supposed to tell me, hey, man, okay, we're over here. So they go in front of the judge without me. And all the judge signed was a temporary restraining order on both of us. Okay, and they didn't say anything that I couldn't see my kid or anything like that. I finally get in touch with them. This was already after the court. I think it was like the next day. And they say, oh, you can't see your kid. Only once every other week on a Saturday from 10 a.m. Saturday to 10 a.m. Sunday. And I said, come on, man. I said, yeah, that's what the judge said. That's what the judge says. I'm like, let me see the paper. They never send me any paper. I never get served. I never get anything with any motion or anything that the judge said, right? So it's all a bunch of BS. Then I find out, I go online and I'm looking and I'm like, there's nothing here. And this was weeks later. She had already blocked me. She told me that I couldn't see Leah. I couldn't pick her up. Nothing. I'm going to her house. She's calling the cops, saying that I'm harassing her, saying that I'm trespassing. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go over there anymore. And I'm just trying to find out. This is all planned. This is all staged. And so finally, I get served with the document. And it doesn't say anything that I can't see my daughter. So I go straight over there to the school. And they say, oh, no, we got these court documents that say you can't. And I said, which court documents? I said, these? No, there's these other ones. And I said, when did you get those? About a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. I said, what? And I said, do you have a copy of them? No, we sent them off to the superintendent. And so they won't let me pick them up. And so I'm like, look, man, I said, I don't know what your problem is. They got the principal of that school, of Parker Elementary, his name is Chavez Mitchell. They got him involved in this. I don't know if they bribed him or what, but he is involved in this, okay? Because every time I've gone, he's been doing this stuff and lying. And I knew that he was a liar from the first day. I had an altercation with him about a year prior, and he was lying through his teeth about it was during COVID. And anyways, I won't go into that story, but believe me, trust me, he's a liar. So he's lying about all this stuff, and I said, look, man, I got the court document right here. And so they said, okay, So Ilana shows up. I can't take her. Goes with her mom. They let her go with her mom. So the next day, and I hadn't seen Leah in 2 weeks. She's emotionally abused. She is afraid of me, and she doesn't know what the hell's going on, and she's scared. And I have the videos to prove that. And I'm like, and she's never acted that way with me before. Never. My daughter and me are tight. We are super tight. We have a great relationship. And I'm just like, okay. And months prior to this, when she had parental gatekeeping is what it's called. That's what narcissists do. Parental alienation. They take your kids. And, oh, by the way, narcissistic personality disorder awareness day 2 is today. I got out of work late, but I'm going to be posting exactly about this, about how narcissistic personality disorder affects children, affects families, affects relationships, and you get to hear it from the experts and from my own experience with this issue. So, back to the school, right? So I go back the next day, and I pick up my daughter early, and I'm gonna take her to a therapist. Well, she's out of control. I have to get the assistant principal, Mr. Barry, which is in on it too, because the last time he was just super rude to me. He said he called CPS. It takes me like 20 minutes to get CPS, somebody, a live person, because you have to go through the prompts and everything. And when I had gone to go pick her up, he came back in like 5 minutes and said, oh no, the CPS said you can't get her. It's 100% legal. And I was like, oh, you talked to somebody that fast? I was like, come on, man. So anyways, and I sent the superintendent a letter to investigate this. See, narcissists are very manipulative, man. They will get you involved in stuff that you shouldn't be involved in. And that's going to be all part of the stuff that you're going to be seeing in the next couple of days. But I want to focus on the children especially because tomorrow's my court date. I'm trying to get my child back. I haven't seen her in 3 months. And this is all for a very big reason, a very illegal reason. And so I had gone, and this was already, I did a video on it. Um, Tried to get my daughter back. CPS showed up, talked to me for 15 minutes only, talked to her for an hour. She kept my keys. So then, fast forward, right? Breaks into my apartment, and I know it was them. The Ring doorbell videos are erased. The other little camera that I had, a Wise camera, is erased. And the hard drive is taken out of my laptop. So, why? What is in those files? Besides the fact that she's been cheating on me for the past 10 years with different guys, lying to me. And I kind of had a feeling one time when she said she had never come home late, like for 4 years or 3 years, she had never come home late from work. All of a sudden, she starts coming home late, super late. I start seeing all these weird addresses on her GPS. 3 of those addresses are Fernando Fuentes' addresses. So, all this is going on, right? And she's talking to her brother about criminal cases that he's involved in that he shouldn't be talking to her about. They're talking about their conquests or their sexual conquests with other people. You know, me and Susie are just trying to take care of our families and be there, and they're over here doing this and thinking that they can do whatever they want and rule the world. Well, all that information is on there. All those are in the files, okay? And I'm pulled out some of them, but for a lot of reasons I can't pull out, you know, everything except in court. But they had broken in, tried to take my hard drive. I had downloaded it on another one. Every time I would log on to the internet, they had that hacker guy changing my files, changing the file extensions, erasing everything. And I had to go do recovery and recover it back up, all this stuff. Hacked into all my emails, all my passwords were changed. I couldn't get in, everything, right? And even to this day, I can show you proof on my phone. Like, this is a fact, okay? This is not me being delusional, which is a word they love to use. Anybody that's been infected by these narcissists, they say the same thing. Ron has been telling Ilana for the past 10 years, and I remember from the very beginning, whenever she would tell him something, he would say, "Oh, you're delusional. You're delusional." And then Ilana started using that word. And Mila started using that word. And now Udi's using that word. Like anybody, and then I just talked to a friend of hers and trying to tell her, "Hey, this is what's going on. This is a problem." So you're delusional, man. You're out there. Like, you're crazy. I'm like, okay. So narcissistic personality disorder isn't a real thing? She's not narcissistic. Okay. I'm going to tell you why that happens in the videos. But getting back to this. So I'm going to show you how corrupt these lawyers are. So they start filing more motions, you know, putting the pressure on me because I'm still getting the files. I'm still trying to recover them and everything. And I don't even know. And I'm not getting served. Like, there's nobody coming to my door. I'm not filling out everything. They tell the court that they're going to send it electronically. So since they hacked into my emails are being forwarded. They're saying that I signed everything, which is completely not true. And that I'm agreeing with everything. Right? So I'm like, oh my God, dude. And I can't see my kid. And then this whole thing with CPS, right? So CPS is blocking me, telling me I need a mental health evaluations. I'm calling the lady every day for 3 weeks. She doesn't answer, blah, blah, blah. I have to go to Monarch Health Family Services. That's the only place I can go. I already told you they have somebody there that works, that they know. So then they entered another motion, even though CPS had already cleared me of any wrongdoing. And now they're trying to get me to take a hair follicle test, a urine test. They're trying to get me to take the mental health evaluation and all this. And I'm like, okay, if they have a plan over there at the mental health evaluation, they're going to have a plan thing, and I'm not crazy, man. This is completely real. Um, I don't know how they've managed to do this, but if they can have a cop that's going to lie to me and be paid off, and when I go and he says, "Oh, there's nobody here," and he stays there, and I go back and I see him talking to Ron, I mean, come on, you know. So one of the things that caught me was when they had lied about the Saturday issue, just on a Saturday, that I'm only able to see Leah from 10 a.m. to 10 a.m. Sunday, which they completely lied about. Now they enter in this motion, and I'm getting the papers, and it says again that I'm only allowed to see Leah, but for 30 minutes on Zoom. I mean, come on, that doesn't sound realistic to me, that a judge would say, hey, we haven't even proved anything. He hasn't even, I didn't get to see any evidence. I didn't get to see anything. They went behind my back. They took a CPS person there or had them on file to say that I still needed a mental health evaluation when I got cleared. And I've been calling them and filing reports, and nobody gets back with me. Nothing, right? So this is all planned. So I start remembering all these things. I start going through the files again, whatever I can, and I start pulling up all this stuff. And one of the main reasons why Ilana doesn't want or didn't want me, or they were trying to get these files back, were because of all the HIPAA violations that she had broke working at Kroger as a pharmacist. There was so many patients' names, information, stuff that she had screenshotted. And you're not supposed to do that when you work in a health organization. You're not supposed to keep anybody's information on file, especially not on your personal devices. So all that's on there. And when you're a lawyer and you're working a criminal case, you're not supposed to be discussing it with your sister or anybody for that matter. So all that's on there. And of course the cheating, right? So that's why this whole thing and a bunch of other stuff, man, like really illegal stuff that's been going on. And that's why they wanted the files back so badly. That's why they had Fernando, Fuentes, and Ronald, Alan, Charles hack into my account, do all this stuff. They're emotionally abusing my daughter. Now she's fine for some reason. They're probably like, hey, we better keep it cool. And I've been hacked less because I've been emailing the FBI. I've been sending them all this stuff. I've been emailing HPD, the U.S. District Attorney, the Texas District, everybody, even La Gordi Loca in Laredo, to try to get this information out. And she does really good investigative journalism, by the way. She really does. And I'm sending this off. And I'm finally getting, people sending me information, and I'm finally getting interviews done and stuff like that. And I tell them, I said, you know what? I'm a U.S. Army veteran. You mess with the wrong soldier, man. You mess with the wrong soldier's daughter. Like, you're not supposed to be doing this. And you're just doing it all for selfish reasons, just to cover your ass because you don't want anybody to know this stuff. And what does my daughter have to do with any of this, man? I haven't seen her. She knows me as dad. You're there. I'm always there. And you just took her away from me. For what? So I wouldn't talk to her, so I don't get information from her, so I don't get to look at her iPad again. That's why. They want to completely bury me, have me arrested or committed to a mental institution or something, so that none of this gets out. Okay? So that's what's going on. That's exactly what's going on with this whole situation. This has all just been a whole setup because I uncovered this information, and that's when this whole thing started. Me and Ilana haven't been together for years, for like 4 years. So why all of a sudden, when I uncover this information, does she file to sue me? And why all of a sudden is her ex-husband back in her life, going to her house, being there all the time? And he showed up every time at the school. Every time that there was a conflict, he was there. So, what does that tell you? These are the facts, people. I'm not making any of this up. This is completely true. And this is what narcissistic people do. And they have all their friends convinced and family and saying that I'm the bad guy and I'm crazy and all this. And all you have to do is, I hope that the judge sees this and subpoenas their messages, all their messages dating back, at least for the past 3 or 4 years. If not, at least the last 6 months would do, or a year. All their conversations between each other. I mean, again, she tells me that she doesn't know this hacker guy, but yet his addresses are on her GPS and they've been there for a while. And his phone number, and they're making calls to this number. She doesn't know who he is or what's going on. Look, the only person that's suffering here is my daughter, man. And she needs to be away from this situation. These people need to go to jail. They need to be arrested. They need to be held accountable for what they're doing, because they're just emotionally abusing my daughter. They're hurting her. He's hurt her physically. He burned his daughter when she was a toddler, when she was a baby, almost killing her, and nobody looked into that. And he's supposed to be a medically trained professional doctor. How do you burn a baby when you're an emergency room doctor, and almost kill your child? How do you burn her with hot scalding water? That never made sense to me. Never made sense to me, that someone would be that careless when you're holding a newborn baby, that you're just gonna accidentally spill hot scalding water on her? Come on, man. Why is nobody doing anything about this guy? Another thing about CPS, so I had filed this report, and I'm making this claim to the Office of Consumer Relations to file a complaint with Internal Affairs, and they tell me, oh yeah, the court, there's a CPS case on Ron. And I said, okay, who's handling it? Who was the investigator? Nobody's gotten in, nobody ever did. Nobody asked me for any of the text messages. Nobody asked me for any the pictures. Nobody asked me for anything. I never got a call from anybody. They closed out the case on him May 9th and said he had no wrongdoing. And I never got any confirmation, nothing, until I'm the one who called and found out. And guess who was assigned to the case? Yvonne Armagon, the same one that had told me that I needed a mental health evaluation. The same one that's been bribed and set up and is a corrupt CPS worker. Not too long ago, there was a court case here involving 4 corrupt CPS workers, okay, that were not doing the right thing. They weren't filling out the forms correctly. They were just doing whatever to close these cases out and not really doing their jobs, and they went to jail for it. So is it that hard to believe? Am I delusional? No, man. This is all happening for this exact reason. I want Uriel S. Druker to be disbarred, and Cristina Alva, because they know of this wrongdoing. They know what they're doing is wrong. And you're her uncle, man. That's my daughter. She's your niece, and you're hurting her. And you just hurt your whole family by cheating on your wife. What do you think your sons are gonna know? It's ridiculous, man. And now you're going to lose your career because you're doing all this illegal shit that you're not supposed to be doing. For what? Ilana, you're going to get in trouble too for the HIPAA law violations that you've broken. And I hope the judge is seeing this. And I hope, Judge, please subpoena the records. Please get these people off my back, and please get my daughter to safety. Bring her back home. I need to get her away from this situation. And investigate Ronald Allen Charles. Ronald Allen Charles, please investigate this man. This guy is dangerous. And Fernando Fuentes. These are the guys that nobody's looked into. Nobody's done anything about. And it really needs to be investigated. Okay? I don't know. I mean, deep pockets, man. This is what it's all about, deep pockets. But I hope this story gets out there. I hope you guys can spread the word and help me save my daughter finally and get her away from this situation. I love my daughter more than anything else. I love all my daughters. Oh, and that's another thing. So apparently my daughter, Tori, that lives in Austin, had put in a statement saying that I'm crazy and I'm delusional and all this stuff, right? Same thing that they all say. Well, I haven't spoken to her in months. Like, I can't get her on the phone. I call her work. I can't, they won't patch me through. I tried calling the Austin Police Department. I can't get through. So nobody wants me to go and talk to my daughter. And I'm not getting any calls. I don't know if her calls are getting blocked trying to contact me. And my other daughter also, Abby, I can't get a hold of her either. And I can't talk to her either. So what does that tell you, man? Come on. So tomorrow's my court date. The day after, I'm going to Austin. I'm going to go look for Tori. I'm going to go file all these complaints with the state bar and with the DFPS office over there, which is the CPS office, and make sure that these people understand what's going on. And I hope they watch this video, because I'm trying to, every time I post one of these videos on Facebook or something, it says content not available. I get calls back from people. So there's somehow, because they hacked my account or something, or hacked my Facebook, or trying, but not through Messenger, so that's good. And they can't erase my YouTube channel. I hope they can't, but it's all on there, and a lot of people are watching that now. And I'm just gonna keep pushing, man, because I have a daughter that I love and that I haven't seen, and that I've been in her life every single day except for this, when this started happening. So please help me. I'm asking you, please, I'm begging you, please help me spread the word. If you know somebody that works at a news station, if you know somebody that can get my story out, please message me, call me. My number is 956-334-5095. My Hotmail, or my Gmail is cezmarq519@gmail.com. If you can't get through, come to my apartment, 3852 Telephone Road, apartment 4304, Houston, Texas 77023. And you'll know if it's me, because I'll make another video posting about it, or I'll say that I spoke to somebody today on my Facebook page. So please call me. Let's get some justice for my kid, for Mila, also Mila Charles. And let's figure out where my other two daughters are, and let's put these people behind bars. Let's hold them accountable for their actions, for what they're doing. Please help me. Thank you.